Visit ZABALGamez.com. That's ZABAL Games.com and sign up.
Decentralized energy, let's talk about Web3.
Awesome. What is up, Adam? We are here for another ZABAL Games workshop with Adam the Thriller Miller. How we doing today, Adam?
After that intro, I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing phenomenal. I've been really looking forward to this. I know we've been having crazy schedules, kind of playing a little bit of phone tag. Have not only a conversation that started initially on my separate podcast about that, and then also yours. But now we're finally here in something different because it's taken so much time. But sometimes that's just how it is, right? So it's great to have you here. I'm excited. Do you want to give everyone a little intro about yourself?
Yeah, for sure. So again, thanks for having me on the show and excited to have you on my show soon. I really run two things right now. One is called MIDAO, MIDAO, which we work with the government of the Marshall Islands in the South Pacific, where we help the government create a legal and regulatory framework made for Web3, so launching tokens, DAOs, other things, and for AI agents now, when you want to have a decentralized AI agent. And so we could talk about legal structures, we could talk about DAOs, and then my other project is called Beta Briefing, betabriefing.ai, which is a daily agentic news briefing that's written for you, the user, every night, sent to you when you wake up in audio and text form, and building that with agentic engineering. So happy to talk about any of that as well.
Amazing. I love it too. Very separate but awesome tools, especially because I didn't know that with MIDAO you're doing that for decentralized agents as well. So I'd love to, if you want to share a little bit about what that evolution has been. I'd love to know a little bit more about actually the story of the creation of MIDAO and like how you saw and why you saw the need for that and how that's evolved now into what it is.
Yeah, so 5 years ago, which is amazing that it's been 5 years, DAOs were like taking off. They were new, they were taking off. And I was actually working on a DAO technology company, but I came across this problem that every DAO had, which is that there was nowhere good to file and create your legal structure for your company, like your LLC, your corporation, foundation, whatever, because everywhere you went, take the Cayman Islands as an example, you're forced into a very specific structure where you have a board of trustees. You have very specific like compliance requirements that are not what DAOs at the time especially, but they don't always want to have a board, right? A lot of DAOs want to be more decentralized than that on the social and governance layer. And so it turned out my now co-founder, who's an old friend, knew a senator in the Marshall Islands, and they were always brainstorming, what's a cool thing we can do that only a country can do that drives innovation in Web3? And so we got together, we talked to the senator and we said, why don't we do something like Wyoming had just done? So Wyoming was the first place in the world to have a law made for DAOs. And so we basically copy pasted and modified and improved on the Wyoming DAO LLC and became the first country in the world and the second place in the world after Wyoming to have a DAO LLC law. And then it's really just gone from there. You know, once the law passed, we started, always continuously improving on it and building MIDAO, which is the marketing arm that actually promotes the idea around the world and then helps people as a registered agent spin up DAO LLCs for their business.
Amazing. Wow. That was super interesting and poignant. I'd love to tap in on a lot of things, but I'd love to know more about the agentic, the decentralized agents and what you guys are doing there. Right. I think that's really cool to hear. Just like right time and place, right? And even though DAOs aren't quote unquote so big right now, I think the technology has only improved since they were more popular. So it's been a blessing for me to kind of tap in with individuals like you and other people in the DAO and open source ecosystem that have continued building throughout, even though maybe less eyes have been on it. So it's cool to hear that you guys have gone with the AI agent meta and made something that's a legal structure now for some of these things to actually answer some of those questions that people are having about these entities, because I'm still confused if in court my agent does something like, can I say that's not me or not, right? But or vice versa, right? Like, is there a way to like claim that that's something that you're doing, you're acting upon? So it's yeah, I'd love to know more about that kind of story of like, because I know it's been the talk of the town in 2026.
Yeah. So, when most people build an AI agent of some kind, they usually want that agent to simply be a representative of themselves or their existing company, right? You're building a chatbot for customer service, or you're building an investment bot that's investing your money. And so most of the time, you don't need a new legal structure for that. You just want it to either be you, and it's just like any other piece of software or tool you're using, or be your company. What people have been talking about for a long time, and it's just still mostly in the experimentation phase, is decentralized AI agents, where the whole point of the agent is to be separate legally from you, from your company, from anyone else, and be its own thing, much like a DAO, right? The whole idea is we don't want this thing to be owned by a traditional company. We don't want a founder in charge. We don't want a board in charge. We want it to be a separate, decentralized, its own thing. And so the idea with the legal entity there is that, well, AI agents, also like DAOs, need to be governed still. No one in the world is going to accept, let's just say for the foreseeable future, an AI agent that is completely separate and unrelated from any person. If something goes wrong, they're still going to want to hold someone liable and accountable, and they will. So the idea is, just like in a DAO, to have an AI agent which is still governed by people and companies, what we call legal persons, legal people in general, is still founded by and governed by people, but is basically the manager of that company and has legal personhood in the sense that it can it can sign contracts, open bank accounts, do business with the world, and just like a DAO LLC, not have the people as individuals be held personally liable for the action of the agent, just like we don't want them to be personally liable for the actions of the DAO, even though they're governing it, maybe supporting it, maybe electing in and out the AI agent, just like you might elect in and out a security council for a DAO, or even managers if your DAO wants to have managers, right? You probably need to be able to unelect the AI agent as your company's manager and maybe put a different one in its place. So that's what the legal structure is made for. Again, very similar to a DAO, but instead of governing a smart contract, basically, or a series of smart contracts, you're governing an AI agent, which is also software.
That's very cool. And what part of the process are you in with that? Can individuals with an AI agent now spin up that legal structure?
Yeah, they can. Yeah, the hard part has been finding people who want to do it, because I think we're working on a few experiments, right? I don't know what you could call them, but like partnering with companies that are providing this type of infrastructure for decentralized AI agents. So the two big challenges, again, one is that when people are spinning up a quick experiment, which is what most AI agents are, they don't necessarily want to put in the effort to have a best-in-class global offshore legal structure for that agent. They just want to spin it up and see what happens. Or usually they just want that agent acting for themselves or for their company. So for that particular use case, kind of like a DAO, where people are saying, no, the whole point of this agent is it's its own separate thing, its own assets and liabilities. That's where we are ready to spin up those agents. And it's just a matter of when do we get past the experimentation phase? And what are those use cases, frankly, where people truly want a AI agent that is decentralized and separate from their own finances and assets and liability?
Yeah, no, that's really cool. So that's amazing. MIDAO sounds MIDAO.
We say MIDAO, but either way. And by the way, one of the things I'm planning on doing this year is offering an exceedingly low price for people who want to try this. If anyone listening is interested in partnering with us in that sense of being one of the first decentralized AI agents that can open its own bank account and stuff like that, get in touch. We're literally talking about 90% off, 95% off, just to get some of these off the ground.
I love it. Thank you so much. We love that. We'll definitely reach out to that DAO and regen community, because I know that's actually how we met at some point in some space here or there, right? And I think that's kind of the beauty of this decentralized world, is you never know who you're going to run into, and they could be any individual from any industry in some capacity and from anywhere around the world. So it's gives you a lot of different perspectives and a lot of different individuals that you just run into. And then sometimes there's these routines and reoccurring things in these decentralized worlds that people come to consistently and build a community around. And whether those are DAOs or not, it's really interesting to see how that space has shifted with decentralized social platforms like Lens and now Farcaster being one of the bigger places I'm especially spending a lot of time. I think that's a place where AI agents have always been, they've said, first-class citizens. And I think that could be a really interesting place to get some individuals who have some pretty cool AI agents out there already to reach out. So that sounds awesome. I would love to tap in a little bit more with Beta Briefing if you want to share. Now, I have a couple of ideas for Beta Briefing that I want to kind of brainstorm with you, but give a little summary of kind of what came about there.
Yeah, so it started really with 2 years of experience trying to get ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini to give me a great daily news feed. Every morning, I want to know about all the things that are important to me, editorialized in a way that's appropriate for my perspective and how I like to get my information, links to all the sources, etc., and none of the stuff I don't want to see. And it turned out that nothing that those companies make available, and Perplexity is the same, nothing that those companies make available can actually do this well. And it can be hard to tell because it can seem like it's telling you a lot of stuff. But then when I take one of the outputs and put it into another one and say, hey, do a deep research and tell me all the things you can find that it should have caught for me, it finds them. So like there was no way with nothing these companies made available to do this. So what I ended up building for myself, and now it's available for others. And by the way, it's still in a free beta if people want to try it out. There is a premium level, as you found out recently, but the paid level is still free and it's still quite good. And the idea is it's a 11 or now more stage agentic pipeline where each stage takes your profile, so the things that you've told that you want to hear about, and it searches the web with multiple search providers, multiple searches per day on every single topic, and then has AI agents read a huge number of those articles. So it might find like 1,000 or 2,000 prospective URLs from the prior 24 hours. It will choose a couple hundred of those to have AI agents read and summarize in the context of why it thinks they're relevant to you. And then an editorial agent takes all of that, combined with its memory of what it's told you in the past, what it's told you the whole time you've been using it, including yesterday and last several days, and it editorializes in addition for you that day that is context aware of who you are, what you're interested in, what you want to hear about, and what you don't want to hear about. It has its memory of what it's told you before, and it gives you this new daily editorial, as well as an audio version, which you can pick up in your favorite podcast app, or an RSS feed that you can pick up in your AI agents, your other agents, for example, and it delivers all of that to you each morning or each time that you want to hear it.
That's cool. I like it a lot. I was just thinking when you were sharing that it could be really interesting for a DAO or a community to pay for the premium level and leverage it in the aspect of the organization, and have different people that maybe want a little bit more tailored things and have the opportunity to adjust the dials, help support the monthly or whatever cost that it is. And essentially you get out with 3 or 4 people, splitting that monthly cost becomes a whole different thing for a community, right? And the beauty is it's all agentic, right? So you can point it to the places that community could leverage those things really well. So it sounds awesome. I was super excited when you shared it with me, and I was like, amazing. I have yet to read many of them because my email is too cluttered, is where I've come to for me to leverage it. But I know that I'm gonna have it. I'm already forwarding it to my agent's mailbox, right? And I know even if I'm not getting that context, my agent's able to get that additional context of what I want it to understand. And it adds additional context, memory, and like present day awareness on what's happening on the topics that you want. And I think that leverages AI agents in a real big level up of things that they aren't the best at right now, is like understanding when you say they want to act on behalf of an individual or a company, actually understanding what that individual or company would say or wouldn't say, because of like a pre-assumed things that the human just has naturally learned through tribal knowledge and hasn't like explained in documentation or in an SOP of some kind. And I think this helps give that context awareness of like, if I'm pointing it at, like, let's say the ZAO, for example, and I'm able to have it share the context of what we're sharing on the feed very actively, and that can kind of be this kind of loop, but that's outside. It's capturing the GEO perspective, not just what I'm sharing, but maybe at a certain point when you have many contact community members sharing from many places around the world, you don't have the opportunity or luxury to be able to index all that. So this can be a very valuable thing for communities to just index their own content.
Yeah, absolutely. Good point. Yep.
So I love everything you're doing there. Do you have a plan for where you want to rock out with Beta Briefing, where you're kind of moving it forward, things you want to add in, things you're enjoying? Do you, you're still in beta looking for more users? So come in, join, reach out. Is there a place that people can come and start it up?
Yeah, betabriefing.ai. You can sign up. Actually, just today, I'm launching a way that you can sign up where you just tell it like your name, your email, your company, your Twitter, your LinkedIn, your GitHub, whatever, and it'll build a briefing for you. The other way you can sign up is it gives you a message to copy and paste into your favorite chatbots that already know you really well. Your chatbot then responds and you copy and paste that back in, and now you've signed up. Or you can just manually write, what you're looking for. And then you can also talk to the AI on an ongoing basis in the settings and say, here's what I would like you to do differently. So you can sign up, and then I just approve all of the new users on the back end for now. I think customer feedback is probably the most important thing. But the other thing that's always on my mind, exactly related to what you said, which is one of the major motivations for starting this is that I already get too many emails and too many podcasts, and I don't like checking all my RSS feeds and all my news apps every day. And then what have I done? I've just given another one on top of that same problem. It's like, hey, do you get too many emails? Here's another email. And so I think that's a really interesting challenge about this use case. I think and I've experimented with new delivery mechanisms of different kinds, and I'll continue to, even like kind of like you mentioned, what if it just updates a wiki, like an LLM wiki that it's always maintaining for you? That's just like a knowledge base based on all the news that it's picking up. That's interesting too. I've tried a lot of different things. What I keep coming back to is, at least for myself and some of my users, the best way to get your daily news briefing is it's just like a digital newspaper. It's an email or a podcast. That's just like the easiest way to do it. That's really accessible. And so I'm not sure what direction to go exactly, but I'm obviously really open to ideas that people have for, how you and your agents would ideally want to consume this type of like daily intelligence. And forget news. I mean, it searches the whole internet. Anything you're interested in, it'll find for you. So I'd say those are the two biggest things that are top of mind for me. And then I'm always just spending a lot of time optimizing, not only to get really good coverage, really good editorial, really good evals on every stage of the LLM pipeline, but how do you get this to be not prohibitively expensive to produce? So like, for example, if you tell Claude Code to just like do this for you, it costs like $50. It's so many AI stages. So I've had to optimize every stage, like the cheapest possible model that can do it effectively across all the available AI models out there. And to still be effective. And so I'm always spending time trying to get the cost down so that I can provide it at a reasonable cost, or not spend so much money supporting all the free beta testers that are currently using it.
That's awesome. I love it, Adam. Do you want to share anything else specifically about either of these things, maybe building some of it? What are some tips and tricks if a new person's coming in, hearing all this stuff, maybe they're newer to the blockchain space and AI agents? What are some things you'd recommend for them that now, you said you started this journey 5+ years ago. What are things that you've learned through that journey?
Sure. I mean, let's start on the legal side. And by the way, not a lawyer, even though I run a legal service business. But everything you do, especially with software or other people, which is most things, if you don't elect into a legal structure, the government will apply a default legal structure onto you, which is usually not the one you want. And so it's always good either talk to a lawyer or just talk to AI or someone like me to just get a basic understanding of what is my liability in this scenario and what are the different options for how I can manage or reduce that personal liability. It's always a good thing to do. With DAOs, DAOs have learned that time and time again. There's nothing about a DAO makes it a situation where you don't need a legal structure. The same thing with anything in Web3, launching a token. Maybe that's obvious. You should not generally launch a token without some kind of legal structure, which doesn't mean you always need to register it and pay someone like us to help you do it. It just means like documents of some kind that are organized the right way. So reach out, go to MIDAO.org, MIDAO.org, reach out. Always happy to just chat with people. I'd say on the agentic engineering side, so like how am I building all this stuff, especially beta briefing, I love Claude Code. I think Claude Code is phenomenal. And once you get locked into one particular tool, it's hard to like switch out of it. But one of the cool things I have Claude Code doing is I've taught it to use Codex, ChatGPT's coding tool. And almost everything of any remotely meaningful amount of work in Claude Code, it is itself dialing into Codex to get second opinions on everything. Not literally every single thing it does, but at the right stages of planning, of building, of reviewing, it's constantly calling out to Codex for second opinions from Codex. I've even started using triple call out where it goes to Google CLI, soon to be anti-gravity only, their new CLI tool. But that's been extremely useful. And the Codex plugin, the one they offer for Claude Code, is not very good, but it's not that hard to just teach your agent, here's how you use Codex yourself. And then you can build like a / command that's like, I have one called dual review, where it spawns up a Claude and a Codex subagent at once to get a review on what was just done, deduplicates, and then uses that for next steps. So that's been really cool. And just all the ways that you customize Claude Code, I don't think there's any way to, just like regular development, I don't think there's any way to skip the like learning and iteration, but it's like every time something is hard to do, or every time it works only like 10% of the way and then comes back to you with a question, don't just push your way through it. Think about how can I upgrade my Claude Code with skills / commands, Claude.md instructions, etc., or maybe sometimes other people's plugins, so that next time it doesn't stop to ask me the question, or next time it doesn't make this mistake, or next time it does do a dual review automatically, right? All those things. And over the course of a few months, you'll go from like chatting and it works for 5 minutes, chatting and it works for 5 minutes, to like every time you want it to do something, it works for like 1 to 4 hours straight or more before it reports back, and still does a really good job.
That's cool. I love it. Amazing. Do you want to share where people can reach out to you, Adam?
Yeah, MIDAO.org or betabriefing.ai for the two companies / products. For myself, you can find me on Farcaster as well, The Thriller. I've been a little less active there, but would be happy to spend more time there. And then on X, I'm 0x Thriller, because The Thriller was taken. So those are probably the best ways to find me.
Awesome. I love it. I appreciate you coming on, Adam. It was honestly a super educational talk for me, as well as I hope anyone else who's listening back to this. Appreciate the time. Thanks for
thank you as well. You got it. Yeah, I'll talk to you soon.
Cheers.
Keep it a Zali. From the ZABAL come proper. We eat rappers for lunch and there's some left. We eat them for supper. I keep it a Zal, homie, a Zali. Heard the streets calling E3. I man to assignments. Now the whole word here about